Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please step up to the podium, provide your name and address. No, we'll let it go.
You don't have to comment on what I'm going to say. I'll let you, won't complain when you don't comment, but I'm going to say what I'm going to say.
Absolutely.
So my name is Dan Slaterman, 177 Lakeview Avenue. As you know, I'm a victim of Mr.A, the predator that existed in this school for 14 years. And while I appreciate your long comments here, you're missing the point that we're trying to raise to you here. You're asking us to trust you that you have the best policies in place, and yet in 2019, when New Jersey passed the new sexual abuse law, and since 2021, you all have had information about there being multiple victims. You have done nothing but hide it, cover it up, and have not met what I believe is your responsibility when that new law was passed. And so now you're asking us to just assume that you are also making the best decisions about the policies for the children in this school district, when there are better policies out there, like the ones that I have raised from the Boys and the Girls Club, where there's regular third-party reviews and where there's a lot more to the policy than you have gone through. Secondly, it's time for this school board to take responsibility here. You have victims. We've had 7 or 8 victims who have come forward in the last 24 hours talking about for the first time about what happened to them in this school with that teacher. And that's just in the last 24 hours. Had you taken your responsibility that you had starting in 2021 and made it safe for victims to come forward, every one of those people that have come forward in the last 24 hours could have come forward in 2021 and been getting help and support. But instead, you have covered it up, you have hidden legal settlements, and now us as victims have been left with no choice but to come here in these public spaces and talk about incredibly painful things, because we know there's more victims out there. They're here tonight. They're going to talk to you. There is more coming out all the time. This is your responsibility as a board. And this is my 3rd meeting. And the way I've been treated by you all in the first 2 meetings with indifference and being ignored. And now you're asking us to say and trust you that you have the right policies to protect children today, or that you're out there saying the things that need to be said for all of these victims, because you're not. That's why we're here. That's why I've come back. And that's why I'm going to continue to come back. Because you have a responsibility. We know you weren't here in the 1980s and 70s when this happened. But there are victims here that are still feeling what happened to them in this building, or at Mr. A's house, or in his car, in all of the places where he was abusing children. None of us want to be here talking about this. I never imagined that I'd be standing here having this conversation with you all. Never wanted to do it. But here I am, because you all are not meeting your responsibility. There are people that are hurting. Some of them are here tonight. You're going to hear from them. You should respond to them. You can ignore me. You can legal up for me. That is fine. But I want you to hear what other folks have to say here. And some folks, I just met them as fellow victims in the last 24 hours. And there's more coming all the time. So I am asking you to put down your financial concerns or all the other kind of things and have some moral concern for what happened here. It's time for the Leonia to come to grips with what happened. It's time. And you all are in the position to lead that. And it's time for you to lead it. So I'm now going to turn it over to other victims.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we on here? Good evening, Mike Gonzalez from 115 Irving Street. And I'm here today as a survivor of child sexual abuse by John Anagnosti. I was molested over 500 times while I was a student in Leonia. And 99% of those times was right inside the classroom, down the hall from the library. For years, nobody ever spoke about what Mr. A did to me and to others. Back this pole here for a second. Just recently, I found out something that crushed me even more. My younger brother was also a victim of Mr. Anagnosti, which started at the age of only 5 years old. I never learned how to read or write properly because of what I went through. School was supposed to be a safe place, but for me, it became pain. I carried a lot of guilt because I was probably one of the first victims of Mr. Anagnosti. And if I had spoken up, maybe others would have been spared, including my younger brother. I ended up joining the Army, and I believe the Army saved my life. But when I came home on leave, I learned that in 1981, another victim of Mr. A finally came forward. And what it did to the town of Leonia, and what did it do to the town of Leonia? What did they believe, the child? They supported Mr. A instead. That moment broke me all over again. This led me to the lowest point I've ever been in my life. I found where Mr. A lived. I knocked on his door, ready to do something unthinkable, which was taking my abuser's life. The only thing that spared him was that he walked into another room. And I came to the realization that my anger and trauma could not get the best of me, and I walked away. All these years, I stayed silent. But now, I know it's time to speak. I believe in God, has been telling me that this is the right time, especially with recent accusations coming about our current police chief. I'm here tonight to speak the truth and demand that Leonia finally take accountability for what happened, not just to me, but to many others. We were ignored, we were silenced, and we were forgotten. And for 14 years, from 1968 to 1981, not one person asked questions about what was really going on. No one ever wondered what happened during all these years before somebody spoke out. How many kids had to suffer in silence? I hope my voice encourages other survivors of Mr. A to come forward. There will be so many still suffering in silence. And I want them to know they're not alone. You know, Leonia needs to face the truth. And I would just like to say one more thing. I would like to thank my 3 daughters and my wife. One daughter, my wife's here tonight, for sticking by me and being my rock all these years, even when I put them through a lot of my anger and my emotional trauma. And I know, but none of you people were here at the time, you know. There's no blame game. But we've been saying Leonia has to take responsibility. And this is the right time, and I just thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Mike. Thank you, board. My name is Joey. I'm Mike's younger brother. At 5 years old, I came here to kindergarten, expecting an education and a good life. and that got turned around. It's hard for me to speak about it. I'm not as open as my other guys. The abuse lasted 5 or 6 years until I was 12, 14. I know me and my brother have settled with the town of Leonia. And thank you. I appreciate that. We came to an agreement with the lawyers and the Board of Ed and our attorneys, and I appreciate for the Board of Ed stepping up and not admitting, but coming to a conclusion. It's never going to end. I became an alcoholic over this. I'm still an alcoholic. Alcohol eases the pain of what happened to me at 5 years old. It's hard for me to talk about it. That's why victims don't talk about it, because it's embarrassing. It's shameful. I was talking to Paul tonight. He graduated with me, and I never thought he was abused. And the first thing we said to each other, we couldn't open up back in the 80s and told anybody about this because things were different back then. People would look at us different, and we just couldn't do it. It never ends, the hurt, the pain. I would just ask for, in the future, if all this has come true, is just to the town of Leonia and the board. You guys weren't here. It's so hard for me to talk to every one of you guys because this wasn't your problem. You're new people here. But I just want you to know the pain never ends of any kind of abuse, sexual, physical, and emotional abuse. And I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Paul King, 62 Paulin Boulevard. I'm not sure how this is going to go. I'm 59. Moved here in 68. I've been waiting for this day for over 50 years. 50 years. I was abused by Mr.A in 3rd and 4th grade, 2.5 years. Could have been 3. I've lived with Mr.A.'s trauma for so long. I buried it away. In 24 hours, my life has changed. I thank Mike, Joe, Dan for the courage of stepping up, and I'm here now. I thank my kids. Thank my wife. I hope that none of you have ever experienced sexual assault. Statistically, other people in this room have. In the last 24 hours, I've made some posts publicly. People have come to me. There's many more people. Many people. So what do I want? That's a good question. I don't know. But I do know that I want what's fair. I want the people that are victims to be free to come out, to heal. I'm not thinking about the money. There's a saying that a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. This crisis has been going on for over 50 years. And it's been wasted by multiple boards, mayors, pillars of the community for 50 years. People thinking about it in terms of litigation and not the human aspect. The Board of Ed failed in 1980 when this first all came about. Marsha Wilson came forward. Prior to 1980, other parents came forward. I'm hearing about it now. They're coming to me in confidence. The administration failed these kids. They failed me, and they failed Mike, Dan, Joe. And we've got a whole list of other people. They failed in 1980. They failed in 2019. And you failed us over the last 5 years. And I know the board always changes. I was on the board. I know that, Mr. Lee, you speak for the board. Nobody else here can talk. I was one of those people who can't talk, and I got plenty to say. So I know how that feels. I'm a taxpayer, so I'm invested that way. But I think my purpose is to help people heal. And I will find as many people as I can for as long as I can. And we will build a coalition of people. The board has an opportunity to form a committee and work with the community to make amends or not. In the construction industry, when we have a fatality, you know what we do? We call the family. We say we're sorry. We get right up there and we communicate. We build trust. The problem with the dialogue with the mayor and council and with the Board of Ed, this kind of dialogue, there is no dialogue. It's a horrible, horrible system. I'm talking to you, you're not talking to me. I can't ask you guys questions, you won't answer them. This whole system is broken. But that's neither here nor there. It's the system we have. But this is an opportunity to work with the community. I made announcements on social media, within the town, within Facebook, and within 24 hours, we've got a tremendous amount of support. Mr. Lee, you're the leader here with the superintendent. You've got two options. One is to engage, and the other one is not to. I believe Mr. A is dead. I don't know. He's dead, right? Yeah. So he's gone. I'm fortunate. I've got a job. I've got a family. Financially, I'm okay. There are victims of Mr. A that are not as lucky. I have therapy once a week. That's helped. I woke up 6 times last night talking to myself. 6 times. I'm not a pillar of this community. I'm a member of the community, and just because I've been here for 50 some odd years doesn't make me any better than the person that moved in last week. It's not lost on me. I went through ACS, I went through the middle school, I went through the high school. I think I did pretty good. My 3 kids, they went through the school here. I love the school. I've got a lot of respect for the school. I think it does many great things. But what this board has done, and now we find out there was a $6 million settlement, the community didn't even know about that. Arthur Zayat knew about it. He comes to these meetings more than anybody I know. Can you imagine? Just imagine if you were me and you found out about this. Can you imagine that? Think about that. You guys, and I'm sure there's a couple new members here that weren't involved in that. You guys have to live with that. And unfortunately, well, fortunately, you weren't here when this happened, but you inherited it. And I get that. It's not lost on me. Guys, this is a huge opportunity to do the right thing.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Yes. This is the public speaking public speaking portion of the agenda. Yes, please pick up the microphone, provide your name and address.
Oh, okay. I'm totally unprepared. My name's Rebecca Wilson. I grew up in Leonia. I went through ACS, Leonia Middle School, Leonia High School for 2 years, after which I finished high school in Hawaii. I made a post on the listserv some people may have seen, but I feel completely traumatized by the Mr.A scandal by proxy. My brother was a student of his, and I don't want to go into what my brother's trauma was because that's his business, but it was such a dramatic event in my childhood. I was 2 years younger than my brother that I accompanied my mother when she went to retrieve my brother from one of these after school parties he would have at his basement apartment in Fort Lee, New Jersey. I was in a second grade. I witnessed the door opening to the dark apartment, this teacher coming to the door, tucking his shirt back in his pants, kids running around the apartment in the dark screaming. It was such a chaotic, traumatic memory. My mother desperately saying, "Where is my son?" She had to track down my son. He was supposedly at an after-school party, and Mr. A would take kids in his car. He would take them to his apartment without permission from parents. I had a very on-the-ball mother who was, always involved in her kids' lives and, tracked down my son. Tracked down my brother. She found out where this man's apartment was. She went there. She went there in person. She retrieved my brother from the apartment. But some of my friends weren't so lucky. They came from single mom households. This man preyed on kids who had no parent protection. And my mother was one of the first whistleblowers in the late 1970s. She went to the principal of ACS. She said, "This man's behavior is inappropriate. He had my son at his apartment. I've witnessed him with the kids in the car. He was letting kids sit on his lap to try out the steering wheel." She went on and on and on. And the principal at the time at ACS dismissed my mother's complaints. And all he did was switch my brother from Mr. A's class to Rosemary Seitel's class. That was his solution, was just to put my brother in another class. And so when years later, when Mr. Ianni walked down Broad Avenue with his graphic sign, which said, painted in these crudely painted letters, it said, "Teacher touches boy's penis." I saw the sign and I was like, "Mom, he's talking about that man." This is 3 years after my mother had first complained to the principal of ACS about this teacher's inappropriate behavior. So I'm telling you, every man here that's spoken tonight, I believe you all. Every one of you, I believe you all. And it's such an injustice that all of these victims were isolated and suffered in silence for years. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
If I may, real quick, just add to a couple things. This is a text I got earlier today from a woman in town. Can't be there tonight, but want to tell you how incredibly brave you are. I lived through that and supported Mr. A at the time. I feel awful. That's not the only one of these I got. I was in Mr. A's basement apartment. That's where the abuse happened to me, exclusively, not in his classroom, as well as in his blue Chevy or blue Nova, whatever that car was with a white top. Happened to me over 2.5 years, 3-4 days a week. I got baseball games, Mets games, and I got butter rolls from the deli right over here. They were 25 cents. He bought me every day. He was grooming me. He had it down. I can't tell this board enough about what he did to the lives of so many boys and perhaps girls I don't know. Don't miss this opportunity to do the right thing. It'll go a long way. I'm not involved in any lawsuit. You can speak to me. Dan has got his own thing. Whatever that is. I don't know and I don't care. The abuse was horrible. And I wish it was as benign as, not benign, I don't mean to diminish that, but it was bad. You guys have a very, very unique opportunity, and it's a difficult thing to do. So anyway, thank you.
Okay, just for the record, the public speaking portion, typically members from the public are allowed to speak once, but given the sensitivity of the subject tonight, we will allow an exception.
I want to clarify that you can have any conversation you want with Paul and Mike and anybody else. Keep me out of it. But I don't want to be any way in the way of you all doing what you need to do.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else from the public wishing to speak, please step up to the podium, provide your name and address. Could you please use the microphone? It's on the podium.
I want to keep it succinct because I tend to go all over the place. I'm Marcia Ontel. I live in Leonia on Magnolia Place. I'm here 44 plus years. I'm a psychotherapist in active private practice at the age of my late 70s. The subject of trauma is front and foremost in my life. I actually am here tonight because I recently connected with the King family, each one of them in different ways. I'm here also to get away from my own personal trauma, which is my family in Israel, that is now hunkering down and hiding and trying to avoid bombs. So relatively speaking, there's a lot going on. I've worked with systems my whole life. I was a director of many programs over the years at mental health centers. I ran a psychiatric emergency service. I worked with day programs for psychotic and for very disturbed individuals. The subject of trauma, your hands are full. You've got the Holocaust education, you've got the gender identification, you've got the abuse, you've got your hands full, and you're a board, and you do the legal, and you do all the diplomatic, political things that you have to do. I think what I'm hearing tonight is an appeal to the humanity, which is in the room. I mean, it's possible there's a predator sitting right here. There might be a predator on the board, because people are people, and it doesn't matter what level you're at. It's your colleague who's, working with you for 10 years and you don't know what's going on in their life, or it's a stranger. I'm also a brand new grandmother at this formative age. I have 3 very young grandchildren. One of my kids, my son-in-law wants to move into Leonia. I raised the girls here through the schools, all 3 schools, 2 daughters. They're around 40 now. They're having their own children. And there's talk about them moving back into town. So the educational system is very important to me. There was a guidance counselor in the middle school that my kids accessed, and they liked her very much. Constance Hill, I don't know if any of you know her. Connie Hill? Oh my God, I must be really old, But she was receptive and open to the kids. I just am curious. I know that New Jersey schools are mandated to teach the Holocaust and the lessons of the Holocaust. I was instrumental in those years at getting some of these programs developed. I have training in post-traumatic stress for the Holocaust population and genocide, the Armenians, and the whole area of public speaking. But the area of sexual abuse is in homes, it's in schools, and the front line of defense is teachers and nurses. And it does start in the elementary, well, maybe even daycare centers. So I'm terrified of my young grandchildren who now are starting to move into the systems. And I'm terrified of them being away from the protective environment of their home. And I think Paul mentioned the trusting of the schools, the adults, the educators. So anyways, I just want to sum up with, I have super hypersensitivity. Right now I'm living in an altered state myself with my family. But this subject itself, I don't know what all of you are thinking about. What can I do in my role? You know, I'm a superintendent, you know, I'm a financial, you know, administrator, I'm a student representative, whatever. What role can I play in all of these areas? And it is committees, it is open dialogue, it's educating. And the teachers, I know, have their hands full because I have millions of them over 44 years in my practice. And the teachers complain about the frustration of working in a school system. And it is a very hard job. But as administrators, as a board, I don't know what you want to take away from what you heard tonight. You know, just another group of, you know, people who are disgruntled and are looking for help, but they're coming to the wrong place, etc. I know all of you probably have children. Don't you think about these things? Don't you think about your kids? I mean, I know I'm wheeling my granddaughter in the carriage. She's 18 months old, and these strangers come up and they start touching her. And my reaction is, get your hands off of her. You know, what are you doing? She's not property. But you are parents, and you are brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers and husbands. And, you know in your own families, you've got alcoholics and you've got all kinds of troubled people. So the denial that takes place is enormous. I don't know how you're going to dribble down what you're hearing tonight to your teachers and to your frontline people that are with the children, the nurses, the teachers. I don't know what committees you have in place. I saw Holocaust education as mandated, you know. What do you do with it? What is the Holocaust education? Do you think I've gotten any calls from any of my neighbors saying, oh my God, I feel so bad for you? I mean, where is everybody hunkering down? Everybody's living in their own world. So what are you going to do with your staff? What are you going to do with training? And what are you going to do with the policies? Because policies are wonderful, but how are they implemented? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And take some responsibility, because your own kids and grandchildren are at risk, not just the group that comes here. That's the lesson for me tonight, and I hope for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members? Any members from the public, please come step up to the podium, provide your name and address.
Hi, my name is Jiwon Kim, 185 Harrison Street. Now, a friend's son has been experiencing anti-Semitism at Leonia Middle School. And coincidentally, the timing of each incident coincides with major events that happen in the Middle East. So the latest one that he experienced was just last week when the missiles went from Israel to Iran, and then he was saluted at LMS. So things happen. So now here, my question is, how are Leonia schools addressing this, and how are we being relevant? Because obviously right now we see that what's happening in the world is bleeding into our communities, that we're not living in a bubble. And I read that recently the BOE passed a 5-year strategic plan related to diversity and inclusion, and it sounds really good and it's really well written. Now, what is the timeline to achieve each goal? in the strategic plan. So we have the procedures very general. So what is the more practical? What is the actual process? And when will the specifics be provided? Now we have policies, and how will it be enforced?
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Okay, seeing none, we will close this portion of the meeting and move on to board comments. Any comments from the board members?
So I can respond to the last comment about the strategic plan. To share, the board did pass the 5-year strategic plan. As we said in our presentation in goal 1, that was the goal was about the strategic plan. The timelines and the process and the administrator, or the person responsible for executing that, will all be part of the public website that will be launched on July 15th. So that information will be sent to the public on July 15th with specific when to expect what, especially when it comes to the various goals and the various expectations that we have set for ourselves.
Thank you. Any other board member comments?
I just wanted to thank everyone for their bravery today. I know when you say the president only can speak, that's really not true. And as you can see, I'm speaking right now. And it's touching, it's moving. We hear you, you're heard. And my sympathy and heart goes out to any victim that's out there. And I apologize that you had to experience this. It's hurtful.
Any other board members? Okay, seeing none, we are on item number 13, which is executive session. We